Hello out there and welcome to English Teacher Reviews. Today we're looking at an older game, Borderlands, the pre-sequel. So as far as I can tell, this game takes place after Borderlands 1 and before Borderlands 2, and Tales from the Borderlands, hence the name. You've been captured by the Vault Hunters from Borderlands 1 and you're telling the story of Borderlands, the pre-sequel. So in this one, your story starts on Elpis, a moon of Pandora, when some crazy weirdos start shooting at the moon with the Eye of Hyperion. You get mixed up with Handsome Jack, pre his CEO Insanity shenanigans, and the Vault Hunters from Borderlands 1. You make your way around the moon, killing things, freeing the city from the Marif, and causing all sorts of havoc. It is standard Borderlands fare. Borderlands has always been the humorous, tongue-in-cheek response to the serious shooters out there. The bright colors, obnoxious characters, and pop culture references keep the game fresh in a sea of look-alike, drab gray, gritty takes on war. This story is no exception, and it includes murderous AIs, flushing scientists into space, slapping brains into rockets, and 100 other little things. Obviously, the end goal is to shut down the moon laser and find the vault. This is made more difficult by the machinations of Colonel Zarpedon. All of the loot, happy goodness that you've come to expect from a Borderlands game is here, untouched. You can buy from vending machines or wait and hope something good pops out. Everyone's hoping for purple, right? Shooting feels good. In my playthrough, I played Nisha, a lawbringer who is good with pistols and sniper rifles. Her slowdown ability feels overpowered when in use, but the rest of the time I felt underpowered. It's an odd dichotomy that became less and less satisfying as I played. Toward the end of the game, I found myself just running through streams of bad guys to get to mission objectives. I wasn't interested in fighting them. It's never a good sign when the core gameplay has become passé through repetition, and that is really the crux of the issue that I have with Borderlands as an IP. I loved Borderlands 1. I even quite liked Borderlands 2. But there's a point in all of those games where the gameplay becomes a chore. At that point, you can choose to press through for the story, which is usually at least mildly entertaining, or you can quit playing so that your tolerance for shooting the same enemies in the head over and over goes away, and then ideally come back to it. Now, I'll admit, my tolerance for repetitive gameplay is much lower than most other people's. I don't spend a lot of money on multiplayer shooters because that is all they are. Borderlands has its shtick, and it does it well, but with very little to break up the monotony, I lose interest. And I did lose interest in the pre-sequel. Now, full disclosure here, I did not finish this game. I reached a point where I had to fight a ship, the RK-5. Some of you might know it. I went after it a bunch of different ways with different weapons and strategies, but died every time for nearly 2 hours. Now, I realize by saying this, the comment section is going to say I suck at the game, or the classic get good, or call me a filthy casual. But honestly, I gave it a good go and was totally unable to make headway against the thing. When I researched online for some help, the suggestion was to use corrosive weapons. Sweet, I thought. I actually don't have one of those. Now, the follow-up suggestion said to farm the vending machine by logging in and out until one came up for sale. This seems like poor game design, I thought to myself, but tried it anyway. I reloaded that spot like 15 times, and not once did a corrosive weapon pop up. It was at that point that I realized I was not playing a game. I was being played. I turned the game off then and began writing this review. So, here are some thoughts that you can take or leave, depending on whether you really enjoy my insights. Games require difficulty in order to be entertaining. In some games, this is accomplished through puzzles. In others, like Borderlands, it's accomplished through force. Now, force is, any set of enemies who get steadily better in difficulty or numerousness to make the game harder. Now, this boss, the RK-5, stopped all of my forward progress. Okay? Stopped all of my forward progress for me at a point where I literally was uninterested in fighting things. I was done. I wanted to get to the end of the game. Is that poor game design, or am I just a sad sack? I'm happy to wear that if that's the case, but I think that there must be some way to do this better. The other issue that I noticed was the fact that Athena was telling the story, but I had picked Nisha as my character. Now, Athena was telling the story as if she was the one there, in a first-person sense. Now, it made some of the storytelling quite awkward, as she wasn't there for the events. It caused a huge disconnect for me in the story. I was playing one game, while Athena was telling the story of another. Now, I briefly considered changing to Athena right after I started, because I found out that that was what was going on. Perhaps the fights are much easier with Athena, including the RK5. I'll never know. It's not a game that engenders a large amount of nostalgia for me. Last words here. The game is big, it's well built, it's pretty, has a ton of characters for you to explore. The story exists to serve the gameplay, which works and feels good for a while. And if you're a fan of this type of FPS, you will undoubtedly find something to love in Borderlands, the pre-sequel. If you're a fan of the IP, you will definitely love finding out about how Jack got to be the way he is. It is a game that I can recommend and still be annoyed at for all of its flaws that I've just spent the last 3 or 4 minutes expounding upon. There's my review. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and comment and subscribe if you liked or didn't like it. Tell me how you feel about it in the comments, and I will certainly reply. This is Mr. Jacobs with English Teacher Reviews. Class dismissed.